Hi there, and welcome to another episode of The Pebble. And we have our friend Dan. And today we are going to talk about places that we come from or places we choose to be from. You know, when you find a community that maybe isn't where you were born from, but it fits, as many of you know, I've moved to Buffalo with my family, and it seems to be the place for us. And so Dan and I are going to talk about where he is living now and how that's become a great fit for him, and just how one can develop a home for themselves, even if it isn't where they started out. So, Dan, as always, I welcome you as my dear friend. That one day we will meet, and I think we'll probably have the longest hug in English history because I know you guys aren't huggers, but beware because, as I know you've guessed, I am a hugger.
No, definitely. And I'm looking forward to that day as well. Hopefully, like I say, that sooner rather than later. But whenever that's meant to be,
Right.
that'll be definitely.
Universe will
So,
provide, I promise.
yeah, definitely. So basically, last year, before I moved back to Liverpool, from where I was living, about 30 miles sort of down the road for work purposes, um, I kind of seriously considered, previous to that, Norwich, which is in East Anglia, so what you would call the East Coast. It's not quite on the coast, but it's almost there. Um, and it kind of psychologically, it kind of ticked a lot of boxes similar to Liverpool. And like I say, I seriously sort of started thinking about options of potentially sort of relocating there if I couldn't go back to Liverpool for whatever reason. Um, and I think that's probably the reason why I kind of like started to kind of go so much. I mean, I first went, oh gosh, it must have been about 2002, I think it was. Absolutely loved it, but for one reason or another, I didn't go again for like 16 years. So, and then 2018, I went again to see a show, and then the year after, and then when we were sort of allowed to travel again, I think it was after the first lockdown. So we're talking like sort of mid to sort of late-ish 2020. um, I kind of went through a period of really intensively going there. Um, like literally every single time I had time off, I would be going there. Um, Partly helped by the fact that, like I say, I had that opportunity to be able to do so, um, and just really kind of thinking to myself, I really like this place, and I don't quite understand um, what it is, but I need to keep doing it.
Yeah, I get that. Before we moved even to Galveston, which was our home for almost 6 years,
Mm,
my whole life I was attracted to it since I
yeah.
was a little girl.
Mm,
And I couldn't explain it, but just any chance I had, just for a day trip, anything, I always wanted to go there. I think there are places that we just like there are people that we chemically fit with. I think there are
mhm,
places that do the
yeah.
same thing. And even now that we live across the country, I will always have a relationship with Galveston. And
Yeah.
so I feel like Norwich will be that way for you, even though you didn't choose to live there and you chose Liverpool for your home. You'll always have, a relationship with that. Like you'll probably always want to visit there, and there's just something. I think it's a chemistry. I think places just I don't know. I know there's people that talk about the rocks or the whatever, but I think that they're just the places that we fit. And it's more than the generality of I'm country or I'm city or I'm coastal or I'm mountains. I think that there's just something that we have where we just go, oh, and it sounds like it fit that for you.
Oh gosh, yeah, definitely. I mean, Norwich is just like, I think it's one of those places because it's sort of quite out on a limb as well because of where it is geographically in the country. It's not really on everyone's sort of radar because it's not really somewhere that you kind of go through on a regular basis. So you're not really sort of constantly. It's not all like on everyone's sort of minds in that sort of respect. And unfairly, the sort of stereotype that people do have of like Norwich is like Alan Partridge. You know, that kind of sketch sort of like show. It's got a bit of a
Even
reputation as
I
being.
know that, by the way, even in the United States, we know Alan Partridge.
Yeah, and so it's kind of got a bit of a reputation as being a bit of a backwater, you know, a bit sort of, you know, hillbilly-ish. And, you know, I mean, everyone's kind of like entitled to their own opinion, but I mean, like I sort of quite find that it's very sort of welcoming. It's not really as kind of deserving as that sort of stereotype. You know, I just think that you know it kind of certain places in this country get ridiculed. Accents, certain you know accents get ridiculed. Ours gets you know taken the Mickey out of all the time. You know we constantly have to live with that stereotype of well your car will be on bricks. Everyone's on the rob. You know and all of that. You know and you know while you do get you know crime happen and all of those sorts of things. You know it's like anywhere I do think certain places do unfairly get a bad rep,
Okay,
and
hold on a second. Does always under the bob mean a lot of crime?
on the Rob. So it's like you know, like the sort of thing of like scallies, sort of like young lads who are up to no good and all that
Okay,
sort of thing, you
yeah,
know,
you went
and
on a
obviously
whole very British riff there. I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but we needed a slight transition there.
well
I love it though,
it's
and I
local
love
crime.
every ounce of it. Was wonderful.
Yeah, it's basically sort of and also a lot of it harks back to like the 80s when, you know, Thatcher, you know, was around and, you know, there was sort of poverty and, you know, and all that sort of thing, you know, jobs were very sort of like hard to come by and stuff like that. And I think the cities, you know, really worked hard over the years to kind of really kind of back that stereotype into oblivion. You know, you're always going to get people who kind of do it. Um, anyway, like I say, I think you know, like I say, certain places do unfairly get that, and I think Norwich is one of those places that kind of gets that whole kind of thing of yeah, like I say, it's people think it's you know a bit backwards and all of that, you know, six toes and all of that, you know, and
Yeah.
it's like I say, I actually think it's quite cosmopolitan and I think that's probably helped in the fact that obviously you've got like the unis there, and you know a lot of people come from all different parts of the country and all of that. But I think the thing that I love most about it, and I think what kind of draws me back time and time again, is I'm a massive foodie, and I love the fact that the sort of independent food scene is so sort of blossoming at the moment, you know, and I think it's very, like I say, very, very similar to Liverpool in lots of aspects. I do think that Norwich in particular has, you know, a lot of history. Obviously, we have a lot of history here in Liverpool as well, but I do think that it's kind of been sort of not as touched by sort of development as other places in this country. And I think I quite like the fact that it's sort of not, you know, sort of been developed to death, and that it did, you know, that it does still have quite a lot of history, and the buildings are beautiful, and and all of that. Some people think that the city is a bit boring because it's not really, like I said before, on a lot of people's radar. But I quite like the fact that not everybody wants to go there, because I don't want everyone to kind of know how sort of how good it actually is, you
Yeah,
know.
those
Um,
undiscovered beauties kinda sometimes are nice when they're not discovered, right?
oh gosh, yeah, and like I said, because it's so sort of out of the way as well, it's not really sort of on everyone's list. Um, and and you'll probably love the fact that there's so many like charity shops and just all the kind of vintage sorts of places. There's like a an area called the Norwich Lanes, which is kind of like a sort of a, an sort of loosely defined sort of area of the city, which has kind of been branded, which kind of has like all these sort of um, independent restaurants, cafes, shops. It's not like covered in like a proper like shopping center, but it's kind of, like I said, more like a loosely sort of defined sort of area, that's kind of been identified as you know those sorts of outlets. Um, and like I say, I absolutely go crazy going there, because it is literally up my street. It really, really is, in terms of kind of what I kind of like. It really does tick a lot of boxes. So there's quite a few cafes that I like to go to, time and time again, just literally because the food is amazing, and also I love kind of supporting the independents. Ever since the last sort of like couple of years, I think it's even more so. Um, so I think, like I say, if I had to kind of describe why I like kind of going so much, I mean, I think in the beginning it was just kind of like an innate thing, and it was like I don't really understand why, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm not really going to analyze it too much. Um, and I think I was kind of psychologically sort of testing the place out to kind of see how I really felt about it. I always like to joke to my friends that I'm in a long distance relationship with the city. Um, but it's true. It is true. And like I'm having an affair with Norwich, and I'm cheating on Liverpool, you know. But
But you. It
it
feeds
does.
you,
And
right?
and I actually said this to one of the Instagram accounts, enjoying Norfolk, who I absolutely love. And I did actually say to them, it sounds really corny, but it actually does nourish my soul. I actually feel really replenished and always looking forward to sort of like going to visit. And like I said before, like, in the sort of beginning, I was sort of like going literally every week, almost to the point that, my friends were sort of asking me, when are you moving there, sort of thing. And then, like I said, that's when it kind of the penny kind of started to drop, and I kind of thought, actually, am I going this much because I'm maybe subconsciously thinking what it would be like to actually live here. In the end, obviously, I didn't end up doing it, but like I say, only because there were sort of like one or two sort of like things where I kind of thought, you know, but definitely, if things had been different, I probably would have gone, and I probably would have been just as happy as I am now. Um, to say, but
But
you
you can
know,
still go there and
I can still go there, and and like I say, who knows what will happen in the future? You just never know. But I think, like I say, it's one of those places that I think I just feel so sort of like drawn to, and it sounds really corny again, but like every now and again when I go, I'm sort of like walking around the city with like huge grin on my face, because I'm just so sort of I feel so invigorated when I go there. And it feels really surreal to kind of like say that about a place, but it's true. It's absolutely true. And I've actually started to build a little bit of a friendship network there as well. Um, and that's been really nice, sort of just slowly kind of. I mean, I've got really friendly with one of the owners of the cafes that I go to, and it's just kind of happened that way, really. And like I said, I spent my 41st birthday there recently. That no doubt in my mind where I wanted to spend it. And I was absolutely spoiled rotten,
Yeah,
and
I
it was
remember
lovely.
that.
Yeah,
That was a
it was
birthday
lovely.
spread. He shared it on his was it your Insta or Facebook?
I did it
One of
on both, really. Yeah, I
really,
did it on
I knew
both.
I'd seen it,
Um,
and it was worthy of his birthday. It was a
yeah,
good spread.
yeah, it was really lovely and really special. And like I say, I've really kind of felt like this is a place that I just need to keep coming back to, because it definitely feeds my soul. And like I say, sometimes you don't really need to question why. Sometimes just do it, just keep doing more of it, because that's what, those waves of positivity, and the people that you end up being drawn to. I think definitely. I mean, I'm not vegan, but I mean, a lot of these places that I go to, I mean, the cafe, in that particular cafe, is vegan. And like I say, I'm not vegan myself. I'm vegetarian, but everything that they kind of like stand for, and just, yeah, like I say, just it's like the mindsets of the people. And I just think, yeah, these are the my kind of people. I need to sort of like be around these people more when I possibly can. Um, and I even, uh, like I said before, I feel like an honorary Novitian, because that's how much the city kind of means to me.
Yeah,
Um, and it's great. I absolutely love it. And like I say, I'm just so blessed that I'm fortunate to be able to go as much as I do. And then, like I say, it sounds really drastic, but like, yeah, I used to cry sometimes when had to leave, because it was like, oh, I need to spend more time here. It's just it was crazy. But like I say, it's not a new thing. A lot of people might think that it's a new thing, but it's not. I mean, like I say, I've been quite a few times before 2020. So it's always been somewhere that's kind of intrigued me. It's just that it only really kind of like got serious, within the last sort of like 3 years or so. And like I say, I joke and I liken it to like a relationship, but it kind of was like it's like when Carrie Bradshaw said that she was, it's like how she felt with like New York City, you know, and it sounds really sort of like funny to say that, but that's how I felt. Like I'm dating this
I
this
get it.
city.
I do. I hear you.
Yeah,
No, I do think you can be in love with a place and it be part of your soul. Absolutely. And I feel it when you're talking about it. And I think that it's enriching to you. And that was why I wanted to share it here, because that's part of of what we talk about here, which is that finding those things that make our world, our individual world brighter. And obviously, when you make these trips to Norwich, we always make the CH a K, but Norwich, I need to get the ch.
Norwich,
Um, yeah,
Norwich.
and um, or sometimes we're weird. We're weird. We sometimes it's a K, sometimes it's a CH. But anyways, go on. But Norwich. Um, you know, this obviously is something so beautiful to you, and is so much a part of your joy and your positivity, that it's very much about the pebbles in your world, right? Like I can hear, and like you chose to make that trip there for your birthday. Like,
Yeah.
you live in Liverpool, which is a thriving city and lots of fun things to do in Liverpool, but you were like, "No, on my birthday, I'm gonna go over here,
Yeah.
um, because that's where I want to be on my 41st, to celebrate the ending of my 41st turn, right?" And, that's pretty big. And so that shows, the joy that that place gives you. And
Yeah.
I absolutely get that. I've lived in multitude of places, and I will forever have San Francisco in my heart. I will never be able to afford to ever live there again, ever, ever, unless, I figure out what the next, energy source is. And I doubt that's what my calling from God is. I've come to be very happy in Buffalo. I never would have thought I would ever move to Buffalo because I wouldn't say I was a cold person. I've come to find I actually love snow. I hate cold rain, hate, hate, hate cold rain, but I actually love snow. Snow is an entirely different experience than cold rain. And but I love Buffalo, and I'm experiencing a real spring. Like, trees actually have these little flowers
I
that
was
come
just about to say, when you posted this morning as well, about, your sunrise, yeah.
totally new to me.
Yeah.
I'm in love with it. All of these things are new. I'm 51, almost 52, and I'm experiencing some things like a child would because they're totally new, which is part of my pebble, which is like I want to never stop learning and developing new things. And from here in Buffalo, there's Niagara, which is 15, 20 minutes away, which is a new place for me to be able to go. So that's why I wanted you to share this passion for this place with my audience, because the way you talk about it makes me happy. You just light up. Honestly, you have such a beautiful smile, and then you just kind of glow when you speak of it. And so, I feel like when I do make it to England, I'm going to have to come for like a couple of weeks, not just like the standard like 5-day tourist trip
Yeah, more than 5 days,
to London.
honestly. Yeah.
I've got to be able to like really go around. And I know my husband is going to want to do like the beer tour. And
There are loads of places, honestly, like you'll be spoiled for more than spoiled for choice.
and we have some friends actually there. I have friends who live in Brighton, and
Oh, yeah.
so that's the southeast side, right? Is that right?
Well,
Southeast.
yeah, you literally can't go any further south than that. You'll end up
Yeah,
in the sea.
yeah, because it's like on the water, but on the opposite.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I my geography is awful. I won't pretend I'm not great with American geography, so don't even expect me to know the inside workings. I've learned so much from you. Like, I'm envisioning like, okay, it's getting skinny. He's getting in the skinny, and he's like, this is on the east side, and this. But you're divine for sharing this with us, because it really doesn't, the geography doesn't matter. What matters is no matter where anyone is watching, whether it's in England or the United States or in India or wherever, they can get the joy that you're sharing, because we all have some place that when we've gone there, it just it makes us feel just better, you know? I mean,
Definitely.
and that I feel that when you talk about it. And that is part of the pebble, which is finding some place that feeds us. And so I want to thank you for sharing that with us today, Mr. Dan. Do
Thank
you
you
have
for
any
always
final
having me
thoughts?
on. So, yeah, like I say, it's definitely something that doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't need to be analyzed. You just carry on doing it. because that's what feeds you. That's what, allows you to kind of like grow. And eventually you find people will gravitate towards you, the right kind of people that you're supposed to be around. And
I
that's
see.
what's happening. Like I say, it was lovely going to the theatre there. I've been to the theatre there quite a few times before. And, it was lovely to be able to see a show there again after so long. Um, and yeah, like I say, just everything about, the place just yeah, I always feel so enthusiastic about it, and I love being like an unofficial spokesperson for the place. I feel like I need to kind of promote it to people just so that they can kind of experience the kind of joy that I sort of feel when I go there. Like I said before, obviously, rose tinted glasses, but I know obviously it's not the same as actually living there. But I feel like even if I did move there, I'd still probably feel as evangelical about it, as I do now.
I think
No
you would.
place is perfect, obviously, but um, I think that if you can find somewhere that ticks most of the boxes, I think that's a pretty good thing because there's lots of people out there who live in places and they don't like them.
Yeah,
That's the worst kind of,
I've
feeling
done it.
to sort of, like, have. So, like I say, if you can find your little bit of personal heaven, go for it, you know,
Yeah,
and just, you know, enjoy, what that place offers you. It doesn't Nobody else has to kind of understand, you know, it's just for you, you know?
yeah.
And that's why I feel like, and it's nice that you can kind of tell that, it means so much, and that's lovely. I think that other people can kind of see that as well.
They'll resonate to the joy in you. They'll feel that. Um, Nothing attracts people to you more than when you uh, are are feeling happy. That's the one of the whole points of the pebble is if you can't be your best if you aren't feeling your best. And when you are that, you're electric, you're magnetic, and
Yeah,
you're magnetic when you talk of this. So thank you, Dan. And
no,
thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of The Pebble with us. And if you enjoyed this episode and would like to join us for future episodes, the easiest way to do that is to push that subscribe button and follow along for future episodes. And we certainly hope that you have a great day. Bye now.